Hi, welcome into my studio. My name is Jason Morgan. Today I'm just going to give you a brief overview of this orangutan drawing that I've recently done in pastels. Now obviously it's very in-depth. It took me about 10 or 12 hours to do, so I've got a video series showing everything I've done over on my Patreon art channel. But for those that want a shorter version, let's take a look and see how I did it. Okay, so reference photo is down on my paper. Very important, the paper type I'm using pastelmat, and if you want this type of detail you must use a paper that will grab and hold onto the pastel, so a sanded type of surface. Now I started with the eyes on this one just because I loved the look of them. I was really excited to get on with them, and you can see I'm using PanPastels and those little soft tools to block in the areas, and then pencils where I've got a bit more control to do the details. And the pencils I use more often than not are either Pitt pastel pencils or my favourites, Carbothello. I'm mixing PanPastels on a sheet of printer paper just so that I can block all this in, and there's nothing faster and more effective than PanPastels to block in an underlayer that I've found, so that you're not obsessing over the details too early. What you really need is a good solid underpainting or underdrawing so that you can build the details on top. And that's where I find PanPastels really indispensable. And I've got a wildlife set over on the PanPastel website. So I'm doing exactly the same on the right hand side as well. And you can see how quick and effective they are. Then I usually come on top of them with soft pastel sticks, especially in this case where I want that kind of control, but I also want the softness and a soft feel to the fur itself. And then because I'm using pastelmat, I can quite easily go over that light over dark with my pastel pencils and pastel sticks and get much more detail in there. Now I'm using glassine paper to rest my hand on because this is quite a large drawing and I wanted to work on pretty much both sides at the same time. I'm using glassine paper to mask that off. Now obviously the faceplate is the most complicated part, but I'm using PanPastels and their soft sponges again to really quickly block that in. So I've got all the major tones, all the major light and dark elements in there. The smaller tools, they're brilliant for doing smaller areas, so I block the mouth in and the chin fur as well. Now the faceplate, that was always going to be the most complicated part on here, and this section that I'm working on is the darkest section, so I wanted to get that contrast in so I could assess and judge all the other values by this area. Now there's no super fast shortcut to this. I want to get all the detail on there. I didn't want to rush, but as I show on my Patreon channel, I've got lots of techniques where I show how I do this texture. So although it's still a fairly long process, it's much faster than you would imagine. As I said, the whole drawing took me around about 10 to 12 hours to do. And basically I get the mid-tone textures in there, then I put the darks, and then I start working lighter and lighter, building on top. Now notice how close I try and get that reference photo to my working area. That's really helping me to see all the fine details. It's much easier to follow when it's that close. And that reference photo is by a fantastic photographer, Holly Gordon, and it's over on Wildlife Reference Photos, and it's really been an absolute pleasure to work from it. The detail in it is absolutely pin sharp and the expression is superb. So you can see it going in with the darks, then the mid-tones, then the lights, building layer upon layer. We got that benefit with pastels where we can layer light over dark, and it's really making this so much easier for me to do. On the mouth area I do the same, but I'm holding my pencil on the side, so it's a very light touch. I don't want any real dark distinct marks there. Then I'm going in with my pencils, that's Carbothello I'm using there, and going lighter and lighter all the time as I'm building up the layers of details. As I say, on my Patreon channel, it's obviously a lot of real time on there, and I go into this in great depth. The chin, that's a real focal part of it, all that hair, so I've had to go in again with a darker layer as I'm building texture and layers upon layer. Now my drawing always appears slightly darker than the reference photos, just the way the camera actually picks up the different surfaces. But you can see how I'm using lots of squiggly lines. I've got no regimented straight lines in there, making sure that it looks nice and natural. Then I go on to the right hand side. You can see I've masked off that face area now. I don't want to smudge any of that. Putting a bit of texture on the skin of the chest as I start to build the fur up in exactly the same manner that I did on the left hand side. Gradually building, first with the pans, then with the soft pastels, then with the pencils for detail. And because I use Carbofellow and Pitt pastel pencils, they sharpen really well with a crank handle sharpener. I've got lots of videos covering that. When you start using softer pencils, that's when you get trouble where they actually break a lot. So here I'm just adding some individual haze around the face, down on the neck, and generally touching up areas and refining areas, the whole area over the drawing. So as I put in these final details in real time, hope you have enjoyed it. Hope you picked out a few tips. I know it's a very fast one on YouTube, but if you do want that almost 4-hour version, it's over on my Patreon art channel. And you can get to see this and lots of my other videos all for about the price of a coffee or two. So I think you'll agree that's superb value. See you all again real soon. If you're looking for even more great art sources, I've really got you covered. First off, I've got a Patreon channel. It's been going well over a year or so, packed with around about 50 or more videos and new ones every month. Lots of the videos are many hours long, so you can see they're really in-depth. Subjects such as turtles, birds, elephants, big cats, you name it, is on there. So that's my Patreon channel. And also on that Patreon channel, before I go on to something else, I've got a secret Facebook group. So only the members are actually on there. It's the most supportive and friendly Facebook group that I've ever seen. I know I'm biased, but it really is. We've got 400 or 500 members on there, and they all help each other. So that's a great added bonus. That comes free with it. Also, you get line art every month as well. And we've just designed a brand new companion website for it. So if you've joined other Patrons and channels and you found it very difficult to navigate around, we got this free website that comes with it. All the videos are now just a single click away. Couldn't be any easier than it is. I've also got my site, jasonmorgan.co.uk. Lots of tutorial videos, DVD discs and downloads on there. And if you're struggling for reference photos for your art projects, I've got some of those too. I've got 900 plus on my website, wildlifeart-online.com, and they will be copyright free for you, so you can paint and draw from them and sell your work with no copyright worries whatsoever. So hope you like those extra resources, and I'll see you all again real soon.